Good midday, everyone. Good to see you. It's been a pleasure to have the chance to spend about 20 minutes with you to talk about the path towards industrial energy efficiency from maybe a bit different perspective that you might think, right? And specifically glad to sit with you. I mean, you are sustainability leaders, you're decision makers, but even more, you are thought leaders in your companies. So I hope that there will be quite some aha moments for you, that you might be as well challenging your procurement departments, operations managers, and all those likes. Because I think it's important that we really share best practices. So I try to keep it as lively as possible so that we really see how things are really brought into practice. So if we jump to the next slide, or should I have a ticker? Thank you, sir. My name is Erich Labuda. I'm the president of the Motion Services Division, and before I tell you what keeps me awake at night, I just like to share with you our mission. We are on a mission to enable a low-carbon society. And it's timely, because the world is changing. You see basically everywhere climate change happening. So I thought, you guys are just back from the summer vacation, probably have enjoyed the sun, beach days, hiking. Well, why don't we start with something very different? With an iceberg, very cold. The first thing, when I looked at this picture, I thought about Ice Age, the movie. Think about Manfred the Mammoth, Sid, and all the guys, right? Very different time. Ice Age is about 20,000 years ago. But one thing is clear, the world has changed. If you look, the species that are these days on the planet are very different to what it is today. There was no humans at the time. It's a completely different environment in which we are living. And it's clear. Climate change happens, not only since yesterday, it happens forever, since the planet exists. Temperature is rising. So this type of icebergs are melting and getting smaller and smaller. Now, we are where we are today, enjoying what we have, a great planet, good place to live. However, what we need to think about is as well, what's next? So, I told you the Ice Age time. Think about the iceberg. Since then and today, the temperature rose around 5 degrees Celsius. Doesn't sound too much, but that's what brought us from this very Arctic environment to where we are here today. So, let's talk about the future. Where will we be in the next 50 to 60, 70 years? At the moment, we're on a trajectory of 4 degrees plus. So now think about the Ice Age, think about Manfred the Mammoth and Sid. Now we are there. If it's another 4 degrees up, will we be still there? Probably yes, but in a very different environment. None of us knows how it will look like, but it will be very, very different. So, in order to preserve our planet, the ones that are longer in the sustainability game, remember the COP21 in Paris, where the 1.5 degree target was ratified by the member countries. This is to drive and to mitigate the climate change to a bearable level so that we can preserve the living conditions that we know as of today. That's quite important, because it's about preserving the planet the way we know. And we are these days not at that trajectory. Back in the time, as 10 years ago, we made huge steps forward. The guys that live in the UK, on good days, when the wind is blowing and the sun is shining, you have 100% renewables in the electricity mix. This is great. However, it's not only the UK. The world is a very diverse place. We still emit a lot of emissions on our planet. And that's the reason why we are not on track on the 1.5 degree target at all, although we have committed to. So, now of course we can look back and be sad that we are not on the right path, but more interesting is what to do with that. So, we have done quite a decisive step. In the EU, look at the electricity mix. You go to France, there's a lot of nuclear. You go to Germany, there is no coal power plant anymore. Go to Poland, it's a bit different story again. You go to emerging economies like India, there is a lot of coal still in the system, right? So we need to think about what we do. So far, when we talked about the 1.5 degree target, we were talking how to influence the mix, change of their electricity and energy sources to something that is less carbon intensive. That's the main thought that we had so far. And we did the right thing. However, the question is it enough what we are doing? So now you see basically two basically bars there. One is green and the other one is red. Current scenario is red, means we are not on the path to reduce our CO2 emissions. The green scenario is from the IEA, Sustainable Development Scenario. This is basically the scenario we should be heading to if we really want to reach the 1.5 degree target. So, what happened so far? I think we did quite a lot of good things. Adding more renewables into the mix will bring us roughly 1/3 of the equation towards the right scenario. Changing from carbon-intensive fuels, renewable natural gas, those type of things will bring us the next 9%, 8%. And then there is the carbon capture topic, which is just coming up as we speak. So, but there is still a gap in order to get there. I'm not sure. Anyone an idea? It will not be a different source of energy. It's actually completely the opposite. It's actually not using energy. It's called efficiency. So 1/3 of the equation, if we really want to get to the 1.5 degree target, is built on energy efficiency. So now what does it mean? What's behind this energy efficiency and how can we capture it? So I'm an engineer and typically, then I'm always looking for the biggest lever to influence something. So let me show you a picture. I would assume that 9 out of 10 of you don't know what this is. Well, it's an electrical motor, quite a big size though. And this electrical motor is actually powering an application. And now I will not make a voting, but, or maybe let's do a quick voting. Who of you came with public transport? Hands up. Oh, a lot. Great. By the way, public transport is electrified. There is electrical motors in it. Who basically is hearing this fan? I think everybody, huh? See? You hear it. That's an electrical motor driving the fan so that there is fresh air here in the room. Again, an electrical motor. And now we stop the voting. I hope that everyone has washed their hands minimum once today. There is some water pressure coming out of the tap. The pressure is built by a pump. That's the reason why you can have your lovely shower in the morning, washing your hands, flushing a toilet, whatever. So these are those things which are very much natural and standard for all of us, but they are all driven by electrical motor. And now I told you we want to talk about the biggest levers for energy efficiency and how can we really reduce the consumption on our planet. There is one number you should not forget after this session. It's 45%. Today's world electricity, 45% is consumed by electrical motors of all kinds. Sizes like the size of my hand, sizes up to bigger than that room. This is the main consumer of modern society of electricity, mainly in industry and in buildings. So therefore, it's so important to really talk energy efficiency with electrical motors. That's the workhorse. No one looks at it, no one knows it. But that's what is really behind our modern society. So if we say 45% of the world's electricity is consumed by those motors, so what does it mean? How many motors do we have on Earth? About 300 million. They consume the 45%. Well, the world is going electric, as you know. So there will be even more motors in the future. And if you think 300 millions are already there, out there, the question is how old are these? Are they energy efficient, yes or not? Well, I can tell you most are not. Most are 20 years and older. They run absolutely inefficiently. Think about your fridge, your white goods. You have the energy efficiency labels. In our industry, we have the same. It's called IE class. Most of the motors are IE 102. It's rather low efficiency. The best in class is IE 5. It's almost 99% efficiency. Comparing with your combustion car, typically combustion engines are between 30 to 40% efficiency. It's a huge step in terms of efficiency if you can get to the latest technology. That's what's key. And now let's make a theoretical exercise. Let's assume all the 300 million motors will be just replaced with the best technology available as of today. Well, then we can save 10% of the world's electricity production as of right now. No one needs to invent anything. It's just available as we speak. So, of course, you might now say, oh, this great motor, but it must have a very bad carbon footprint, maybe, you know. Be suspicious, ask for it. Well, of course it has a carbon footprint because it is made out of steel and copper. So usually in the design, you think through it. The design phase is the most important thing. This determines how you build a product. In this case, you build a motor. You basically extract the raw materials, you manufacture it. It's several fractions of % of the footprint of a motor. The majority is in its use phase. In all your offices, there are thousands of motors in the facilities. You go into a production site, every conveyor belt, every elevator, every water tap, everywhere you have those motors. The question is, who of you really drives the decision makers in your company to really ask actively, where do we stand? Where do we fit in the benchmarking? This is a key question. I count on all of you to ask back in your companies, what are we doing about that? No matter if you're a bank. If you're a bank, you are in a building. Again, buildings are the main consumer of electricity. Everyone has its share. So, if we see that 45% of the world electricity is consumed by electric motors, if we see that the carbon footprint is determined by the efficiency class, then now, of course, is the question, so now we have learned that we are not on the right path with regards to the 1.5 degree target. We have learned that we probably still did quite good steps with regards to the mix of the energy sources. However, this efficiency piece is missing. So how can we accelerate that? What can we do more? Because remember back, the last COP28 was in Dubai, and one of the most important pledges was that the global society said we want to double our efforts in energy efficiency. Don't search more. This is the place with the biggest lever. This is what we have to address. So, if I want to accelerate something, who's doing that? People. Us. So, if it's about people, we typically ask people that have the decision power, do you want to accelerate, yes or not? So we made a survey, about 2,000 decision makers, cross-industry, cross geographies. 97% said, yes, we plan to invest more in energy efficiency and sustainability. Only 4 out of 10 felt informed enough to take action, so they do not know exactly what to do. They are willing, but they are not aware what's possible. And last but not least, it is a key contributor to drive the improvement as well of the financial position of a company. So, how can we now drive the journey? Look, it's pretty simple. We need to actively look into each application and understand, is it basically something that is best in class, or is it something overage and is just burning electricity for no reason? That's the point number one. We really need to drive better decision making. This we can do with energy efficiency appraisals. There is a lot of energy efficiency engineers that are doing such appraisals. Second, we need to implement change. Of course, sustainability is a very good term, but the decision is only easy make if there is as well a business case behind it, and we need to help decision makers to ease the decision making. So we need to wrap it around, we need to make sustainability a real business case, and I show you that it is. And of course, it's mitigating risks. In the end, a building needs to function, right? So the newer the motor, the less risks you have that something is going to fail. It's great. So let me get to them now with some examples that I promised you. So we did last year a little bit race for efficiency. We took 2,000 motors, we audited them, looked with our customers, okay, how old, what's the usage pattern, how much electricity are they eating? And what we came there is actually quite interesting. We found an average potential of 31% of efficiency gain if you go to the best technology. That corresponds to 1.25 million households of electricity savings per year We looked only in 2000. This is Manchester 2.5 times roughly. Or basically the city where I'm coming from. I'm based in Zurich 4 times. Think about it. It's huge impact. Then we said, okay, so, but still return on investment must be good, right? Just saving carbon is not good enough. So we said if all those motors would run in the UAE, payback time 6 months. They would be in Germany, payback time 3 months. They would be in the US, about 6 months. It is a real business case. You just need to pick the right motors and really kind of go from the top, the worst, down to the best. It's a benchmarking exercise. Then another one. Maybe some of you know CERN. It's a research institute in Geneva. They are very much around nuclear and applied physics. Together with CERN, we did a pilot. We looked at around 800 motors. So it was really a small pilot. CERN probably has several thousand of motors in there. So we looked in that, 31 gigawatt of hours of saving potential. Will correspond to an annual consumption of roughly 18,000 households. Again, we just made a small pilot, nothing big. So what it proved us is about 4 kilotons of CO2, and that's, I mean, we did a smart calculation on the back of the envelope. It's around 400,000 trees to be planted to just remove this carbon out of the atmosphere. This is huge. So therefore, look, the savings are immense. And I just want to tell you a fun fact. Of course, 800 motors, 18,000 houses is impressive. But now I want to leave you with one thing. We found one pump at the CERN which has 64% of energy efficiency potential. We are not running our operations in an optimal way. Look at all the old buildings. Look at all the old facilities that we still have, specifically here in Europe. There is a lot of things to be made, and the payback times are almost immediate. So, with this, I would like to basically sum up. I hope you agree with me that energy efficiency is not an option, it's a must. If we are serious that we want to go the 1.5 degree part, energy efficiency will play a vital role. There is no other way. It's the only fast-track solution that you and your companies can decide as of today. Technology is there, and usually we don't talk about big-ticket funds. Because if you want basically to do a second Dogger Bank, an offshore wind farm, that is decade-long projects. That is billions of investments. A motor is as affordable as $1,200 USD. So these are the small decisions, but there is many, many people that need to take the right small decisions in order to really drive that movement. So here I'd like to take away a couple of things. So don't forget, 37% is energy efficiency of the whole pie if you really want to get to the Sustainable Development Goal scenario. It's the same chunk than really exchanging oil and kind of fossil fuels into renewable energy sources. It's the same importance. Second, 45 is the number to remember. 45% of the world's electricity is consumed by electrical motors of all kinds. It's the key lever to drive towards a low carbon future. And last but not least, don't forget, we are in the best position ever because digitalization is just growing around us. Transparency is as strong as ever before. It was never so transparent, so we can do metering. Everyone in your buildings, there will be an energy metering device. You can really prove that it works. It was never been so good than that. So with this, remember, 1/3 of the pie is energy efficiency. That's the fast track to enable a low carbon future. Why? Because 45% are eaten by electrical motors. You probably should ask in your departments of what are we doing about that. And last but not least, there are a lot of digital solutions that will prove that the business case is really true. And look, if you don't know where to start, look, the technology is there. Myself and our team are always ready for you. Please feel free to reach out anytime to any one of us. Thank you for listening.
Erich, thank you very much indeed. I know I've got questions for you, but is there any immediate questions from the room? Not seeing any hands immediately. So, okay, I'll just give you one question, if I may. Oh, we have a question at the front. I do apologise. And if we keep this relatively short and sharp, I'll be very grateful.
Yeah, very short. Just a question, actually.
Yeah.
It's about the traveling. About traveling. Do you guys do traveling to places like Germany, Switzerland, in your assessment?
Yes, we do. We are actually active in 70 countries, more than 3,300 energy efficiency enthusiasts. Yes, Germany is one of our core places where we do those type of things, yes.
That was a short, sharp question, and I'm very grateful indeed, because we are going to a networking break, and if you don't get there quickly enough, I get in trouble. So, Erich, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the break. Thank you, everybody.